for joining the Ellis Way TN. I hope you guys are doing good. Hope you're having a blessed week. Please like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. I have a good time doing this, but I like feedback, questions, comments, suggestions. All that is good stuff. So I really appreciate it. But I wanted to show you guys a quilt that I'm making for a dear friend of one of my daughters. So they grew up together. They were together in school their whole lives. And she is just a blessing to anyone that's ever met her. Always smiling. Just such a blessing. But I want to do something special for her. We actually helped Deo coordinating for her wedding also. So we got to be there. It was a really good time. But I gave her, we actually put out quilt squares, just did a 10 by 10 square of different shades of her wedding color. And as people were going into the wedding, they signed the fabric squares with fabric markers. And so I just used a black fabric marker, had several out, laid probably 50 squares out, and thought, well, some people mess up on some. Not sure what I would do with them, but if you end up getting a lot, then you could just do a block quilt, not add sashing and things like that. So I just kind of was going to see how many we actually got. Okay, so here is my 10 by 10 square. I am going to add sashing on just the top. So we're just going to add sashing around here. It will look something like this. And then I will add, so this is, again, this is just 2.5 inch strips from a jelly roll. And then I'm going to do, and you can also use this, you could do layer cake squares. I cut these out just because I wanted different material and blushes, or, you know, pink colors. So, and then I will add this one here. And so I'll just keep going down. So I'll sew it here to join these, and I'm going to do strips down, and then I'll go back and add the sashing on the sides in one big strip. So I'll kind of show you as I do those steps. Okay, so I sewed those two together, and then I'm just going to keep sewing these together like that. Of course, always 1/4 inch seam. I sew straight across there, and I'm going to build my rows. All right, so for my sashing, I'm using 2.5 inch strips that came in a jelly roll, all white. So I just sewed here. You want to leave the same amount of space here as you leave here, and just sew, it's about 1/4 inch, and just sew straight there, diagonally there, I should say. And then when you turn it, it all flows straight. So I'm going to cut this right here along that seam I just sewed, and then just press it open. Right, so I'm just sewing the sashing down the sides and then joining each row together. Okay, so I have my quilt done, and you can see I've got all the sashing on it. So I can zoom in a little bit. And now I am going to check it to make sure all the seams are good. And sometimes when you're piecing quilts, you can miss a little area, so I always check that first. Once I get done with that, I will add the batting and the backing, sandwich it all together really good. Lots of pins. You can never pin enough when it comes to when you're sandwiching your quilts together. And then I'm just going to free motion quilt it. And I actually may end up just doing a stitch and a ditch in each of the squares instead of all over. Actually, instead of free motion. I'm not sure yet, but that's where we're at now. So I am working on sandwiching the quilt now. I'm going to iron this and get all of the wrinkles out as much as possible, and then I will just start layering it. So I do use a little bit of basting spray along here, and usually just use this quilt basting spray. I know a lot of people don't like to use it because it gums up your needles, things like that. That's fine, but I use a little bit of it. Then I'll pull this layer down of the batting, I'll smooth that out, and then I will pull the quilt layer down, smooth it out, and then I pin the heck out of it. So once I get it all sandwiched together, then I will start quilting it. And I'm gonna I think I'm gonna do just a stitch in the ditch for this one. I probably won't even free motion it, so it shouldn't be too hard. Main thing is just keeping that material from getting wrinkled. Okay, so I'm just doing a straight stitch, and like I said, I'm just decided to do the stitch in a ditch. So I'm just going along all of the sashing on either side, across and down. And you want to use one of these. So it is a walking foot, and it will actually move with the bottom, so your material moves at the same time across when you're using multiple layers. That's why you want to use one of these. Unfortunately, I bought this one off of Amazon and it did not work with my machine, so I'm gonna have to try to find another one. But I normally use my Juki for everything. I love this machine. It's metal, it's sturdy, it will sew through 15 layers of jean material. It's a hoss, and I just love it. I free motion quilt with it. I bought the extension deck, so I free motion quilt with it. I straight stitch with it. I just got to sew something really quick. I even sewed a friend's bag that was like vinyl that went on his wheelchair, patched some places in it for him. So it's just a great machine. I do use my baby lock when I'm piecing, if I'm doing like small piecing and things like that. So these are the two. It's right here. It's covered up right now, but they sit right beside each other, and I can just scooch to whichever one I want to use. And but this Juki is definitely my favorite machine I've ever had. Okay, so I'm just sewing across right now, and like I said, I'm just going along this little, you can see it, this little ditch where I piece the sashing and the block together, and I'm just kind of pulling it tight this way and pulling it tight this way. This side's already sewed, so I'm just moving down. So that's where I'm at right now. Okay, so I'm all done with the quilting. I still need to do the binding, and I'm trying to decide what color I want to do the binding. I may do a totally different material than what's on here. I'm thinking about maybe going with a gingham. You can see it over there. But anyways, I just want to show you guys how I quilted it again. I just went down straight. It's going to go blurry trying to show you all this. And down straight this side. Then you go this side. Then you go all the way down this side. Then you got to go this side. Then all the way down this side. So it started from top to bottom and went down. Then the right side. Left side, right side. Then just followed that sashing. Same thing. I went across here, then across here. So of course I started on one side and just kept pulling and going across. I do need to still iron this again really good, and I usually run mine through a steam dry, and I just literally take a wet rag, put it in the dryer, and put that in there because my dryer doesn't steam. So I usually do that to freshen it up, get all the extra little threads off, things like that. But this would be easy to do, probably easier to do a quilt as you go. So I just decided to do it this way this time. It's a lot to get through a machine. This is probably a twin size, but or it could go on a full, but that's where I'm at. So it's super cute. I love the scrappiness of it. I love these quilts and personalize it for somebody. We've done these before. Like my daughter did her wedding shower, so we just laid quilt squares out on the tables. Everybody got to sign a quilt square, and we put it together. And I'll try to show you guys hers at the end, one of the videos. But I did a different pattern. And then same thing with this one. We did this one at the wedding where everybody signed in at the wedding. So you can do it for baby showers, birthdays, graduations. It's just a neat little gift. Everybody always loves a quilt. So, but I just want to show you guys, kind of update you. I'm going to work on my binding now. I believe I'm going to do this little cute little gingham here for the binding. It's totally different. What's not even on there. I may even go back and applique some more hearts on this. I haven't decided yet. So I'll kind of update you guys if I do, and I'll show you the finished product. So I'm a sucker for some pre-cut, especially the 2.5 inch strips. It works out perfect for binding. But since I didn't have strips of this fabric, I had, I think, 2 yards. So I'm going to use this cute gingham. And it is 7 berry. Look how cute. So I'm just going to cut 2.5 inch strips, just like you would have if you bought a jelly roll. And I'm going to use that for join them all together. And then I'll show you guys, I ironed the mess out of them, starch them, and then I cut them 2.5 inch strips. Then I fold them in half, iron them again, and I just go around sew on the back of the quilt. All right, so I've got my 2.5 inch strips cut, and now I'm just going to sew them all together, and then I'll come back and iron them. Okay, how I join my binding is I'm just going to, you want the same width here as what's overlapping here. So your overlaps will just be the same. And then I'm going to sew diagonally here. And then you can just flip it over and it just flows right together. So you want the outside that you want, like your fabric, facing up. And then this one faces towards it, so face to face. Okay, so I just sewed it diagonally. You can see the stitches. And then I'm just going to snip this off here. And then when you flip it, it just flows. And I'll just iron that really good. Alright, so my binding is done. I've got it all joined together, so now it's just ironing it. So I just fold mine in half. And then I iron it really good so it's got that pleat in it. And then it'll be ready to go on the quilt. And I actually sew it on the back side and flip it over. So it just has a more finished look that way. So it's just folded in half and ironed. That's simple. Okay, so I'm leaving about 3 inches not sewed, and that way you can join it when it comes back around just exactly the same way I joined the binding together. And I'm just going to sew this always use a 1/4 inch seam, and I'm just going to sew this around the back, and then I'll flip it over to the front to finish it. So you can see I'm just folding this over and then just sewing it down all the way down. All right, so this binding is on. Look how cute. I just love this gingham. And then you can see I don't show it on the back. I still have to iron this really good, make sure I get all the little threads off, and then I will actually, like I said, steam it, and it will be ready to go to the bride. And just again, I want to stress, quilts don't have to be, they're not going to be perfect. You're human and we aren't perfect. So they are, to me, a work of art. Everyone's different, and create your own. I don't do a lot of measurements or tell you guys a lot of measurements on here because sometimes I don't know what size my quilts are going to be, especially when you have these type that people have filled out squares, because you want to make sure you can use every square and things like that. So I don't really can't tell you exact measurements on everything because you can do it whatever size you want to do it. This is a twin, but it could probably almost cover, it's a twin if you want it hanging down the side. So I didn't really necessarily make it out to be a twin. I wanted a big lap quilt, and that's basically what it is. You can do whatever size you want to do. It's up to you. I just want to show you guys the techniques that I use, and that's kind of where I go with it. But remember, they will appreciate them and love them for years to come, and they do not have to be perfect. Please don't be intimidated by quilting. It is so fun, and I love gifting these quilts. I do not charge for quilts. I gift them out of love and just caring for people and things like that. I guess if I had to turn it into a business and sold them, I wouldn't enjoy it as much. And then you would stress over it being perfect the whole time you're making it. So I try to make it and do a good job, the best that I can do for people, and just hope that they enjoy them. So please do not be intimidated by quilting. If someone gives you a quilt, take good care of it. Don't ever let it end up in Goodwill. That's so heartbreaking. So I see them all the time, but I just want to share that with you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. If you have any suggestions, please add those suggestions. I love it all. I appreciate it, and thanks for joining the Ellis Way TN.